10 signs you think differently than 99% of people. Let's dive in. Number 10. You solve problems that no one else sees as problems. Everyone's sitting in the meeting, nodding along. The plan is set, the decision is made, and you're the only one raising your hand saying, wait, but what about this edge case? What happens when X conflicts with Y? What if the assumption we're building this on is wrong? And people look at you like you just brought a storm cloud to a picnic. Why are you making this complicated? It's fine. Let's just move forward. But to you, it's not fine. You see the fracture lines, the weak points, the variables that everyone else is ignoring because they're 3 steps removed from the immediate problem. Your brain doesn't let you ignore them. It won't let you build on a foundation you know is flawed, even if that flaw won't show up for months or years. I used to think this was a problem, that I was being difficult, obstructionist, pessimistic, but then I watched projects collapse exactly where I said they would. I watched plans fail for reasons I'd flagged weeks earlier that everyone dismissed as overthinking. You're not overthinking. You're thinking at a depth most people can't sustain. And the frustrating part is that you're rarely thanked when you're right. Because by the time the problem surfaces, everyone's forgotten you warned them. They're too busy scrambling to fix it to remember you saw it coming. Number 9. Small talk feels like sandpaper on your brain. How's the weather? Crazy week, right? Did you see the game? You're standing there, smiling, nodding, dying inside. Because your brain doesn't process surface-level exchanges like normal conversation. It processes them like noise, static, a waste of cognitive bandwidth. You're not trying to be rude. You're not some intellectual snob who thinks they're above casual chat. You just can't do it without feeling like you're suffocating. Your brain craves substance, depth, ideas that have weight. And when you're forced to engage in pleasantries about nothing, it's like being asked to eat when you're not hungry. You can do it, but it feels wrong. I've stood at networking events, at family gatherings, at parties, watching people light up over conversations about absolutely nothing and wondered what I was missing. Why can't I just enjoy this? Why does every exchange feel like I'm waiting for the real conversation to start? And then I realized, for most people, this is the real conversation. The ritual of small talk isn't a warm-up, it's the point. It's social bonding through shared mundanity. But your brain doesn't bond that way. You bond through ideas, through vulnerability, through questions that don't have easy answers. So you endure it. You play the game. But inside, you're counting the minutes until you can leave, or until someone, anyone, says something real. Number 8. You've been called intense more than fun. You're at a dinner. Someone makes a comment about free will. It's casual, offhand, probably meant as a joke, and your brain lights up. You lean in. Wait, do you actually believe in free will? Because if determinism is true, then, and you see it, the shift, the subtle lean back, the glance they give their friend that says, here we go. You've done it again. You've turned a light moment into a philosophical interrogation. You've made it weird because you don't know how to engage halfway. You don't know how to have a shallow conversation about a deep topic. Your brain doesn't have a casual setting. People call you intense. They say it affectionately, usually, but you know what they mean. You're a lot. You care too much. You think too hard. You turn everything into a discussion when it was supposed to just be a comment. I spent years trying to dial it down, to be lighter, easier, more fun, and I could pull it off for a night, maybe 2, but it felt like wearing a mask, like I was performing a version of myself designed to make other people comfortable. The truth is, intensity isn't a personality flaw. It's just what happens when your mind operates at full capacity all the time, when you can't help but follow ideas to their conclusion, when surface-level anything feels like a betrayal of your own curiosity. And the people that matter, the ones worth keeping, they don't ask you to turn it down. They say, keep going. I want to hear where this goes. Number 7, you can hold 2 contradictory truths simultaneously. Most people need certainty. They need to know if something is good or bad, right or wrong, true or false. They need to pick a side and defend it. And you can do that too, when you have to. But internally, you're always aware that both things can be true at the same time. You can love someone and know they're bad for you. You can believe in justice and recognize that the system is broken. You can support an idea while acknowledging its flaws. You live in the tension between opposites, and it doesn't bother you the way it bothers other people. I used to think this made me wishy-washy, indecisive, someone who couldn't commit to a position. But then I realized most people aren't more decisive than me. They're just less comfortable with ambiguity. They collapse complexity into binaries because holding paradoxes is exhausting. But you don't get that luxury. Your brain won't let you simplify what's complicated. It won't let you flatten nuance into a bumper sticker slogan. So you sit in the gray area, seeing all sides, understanding all perspectives, and people think you're on the fence when really you're just on a different plane entirely. This doesn't make you weak, it makes you honest, because the world isn't black and white. It's layered, contradictory, messy, and you're one of the few people willing to see it as it actually is. Number 6, your biggest breakthroughs happen in the shower, not in meetings. You're not stupid, you're not lazy, you're just wired in a way that makes your best thinking happen when you're not trying to think. You've sat through brainstorming sessions where everyone's shouting ideas and you've got nothing. Your mind is blank. Pressure makes you freeze, and you leave feeling like a fraud. Like everyone else is quicker, sharper, more creative. And then you're in the shower, or driving, or washing dishes, and it hits you. The solution, the idea, the connection you couldn't see before. It arrives fully formed, like it was just waiting for you to stop trying so hard. This is how your brain works. It doesn't perform on command. It doesn't do its best work under fluorescent lights with people staring at you, expecting brilliance. It needs space, silence, the kind of mental drift that only happens when you're doing something so automatic your conscious mind can take a break. I used to be ashamed of this. I thought I should be able to produce insights in real time, the way other people seem to do it. But then I started paying attention. The ideas I was most proud of, the solutions that actually worked, they almost never came from structured thinking sessions. They came from the margins, the in-between moments when my brain was free to wander. Your mind isn't slow, it's deep, and depth takes time. It takes quiet. It takes the willingness to let ideas percolate instead of forcing them to the surface before they're ready. Number 5, you feel homesick for places that don't exist. There's this ache, this low-grade longing that you can't quite name. You're homesick, but not for a place you've been, for a place you've imagined, a version of the world that makes sense in a way this one doesn't. You see it in books, in films, in the worlds people create when they're not bound by reality, a place where people speak in full paragraphs, where conversations don't stop at the surface, where depth isn't a social liability, and you want to live there. Not metaphorically, you actually desperately want to live there. I used to think this was escapism, a sign I couldn't handle the real world. But then I realized it's not that I can't handle reality, it's that reality feels like a rough draft. Like someone designed a world and forgot to finish the details that matter. You're homesick for coherence, for a life where your mind doesn't feel out of place, for people who think the way you think, who see what you see, who don't look at you like you're speaking another language when you say what you actually mean. This isn't delusion. It's just the painful awareness that you were built for a frequency most people don't operate on, and you spend your whole life toggling between who you are and who you need to be to fit in, and neither one feels like home. Number 4. Your questions make people uncomfortable. You're not trying to be difficult. You're genuinely curious. Someone says something and you want to understand it. Not just accept it, understand it. So you ask follow-up questions. You probe, you push. Why do you think that? What would change your mind? Where does that assumption come from? And people get defensive. They think you're attacking them, challenging them, trying to prove them wrong. But you're not. You're just trying to see the architecture of their thinking. You want to know how they arrived at their conclusion so you can understand if it's sound. Most people don't think this way. They hold beliefs like possessions, not hypotheses. And when you question them, they hear, "You're wrong." What you're actually saying is, "Help me see what you see." I've learned to soften this, to frame questions in ways that don't trigger defensiveness. But it's exhausting, because what I really want is to be around people who welcome interrogation, who see questions as collaboration, not conflict. Your curiosity isn't a weapon. It's how you understand the world, and the fact that it makes people uncomfortable says more about them than it does about you. Number 3, you've deleted entire paragraphs because no one would understand them. You're texting, or writing an email, or commenting on something, and you type out exactly what you're thinking. It's clear, it's precise, it's exactly the point you want to make. And then you read it back, and you realize this is too much. Too layered, too many dependent clauses, too many ideas stacked on top of each other. No one's going to read this and get what you mean. They're going to skim it, misinterpret it, or just ignore it entirely. So you delete it. You start over. You simplify. You flatten your thought into something digestible. And it works. People respond. But what they're responding to isn't what you meant. It's the shadow of what you meant, the Cliff Notes version. And you feel this weird loss, like you just translated yourself badly.
I've done this thousands of times. Written something I was proud of, something that captured exactly what I wanted to say, and then erased it because I knew it wouldn't land. And every time I do it, I feel a little more invisible. Because the version of you that people see, the one who communicates in simple, clean, uncomplicated sentences, that's not the real you. The real you is the deleted paragraphs. The thoughts too complex to survive the journey from your brain to someone else's. And you walk around knowing that most people have only ever met the edited version. And the unedited you, the one who thinks in spirals and tangents and layered meanings, that version is lonely because it rarely gets to exist out loud. Number 2, you experience ideas as physical sensations. This one's hard to explain to people who don't experience it, but when you encounter an idea, a really good one, it doesn't just register intellectually. You feel it in your chest, in your stomach, sometimes like a chill down your spine. It's not metaphorical, it's literal. Your body responds to concepts the way other people's bodies respond to music or art. A well-constructed argument gives you the same rush some people get from a roller coaster. A breakthrough insight feels like coming up for air after being underwater too long. And bad ideas, illogical ones, they feel wrong too, physically wrong, like something's off-key. You can't ignore it. Your nervous system won't let you. I didn't realize this was unusual until I tried to explain it once. I said, that idea makes my brain itch, and someone looked at me like I just confessed to seeing ghosts. But that's what it feels like. Some ideas fit and some don't, and your body knows the difference before your conscious mind catches up. This is why you can't just accept things at face value, why you can't nod along to arguments that don't hold up. It's not stubbornness, it's that your entire system is wired to detect inconsistency. And when you encounter it, it's not a thought, it's a sensation that you can't ignore. Number 1, you're always observing yourself observing. This is the thing no one talks about, the thing that makes you feel most alien. Even when you're fully present, fully engaged, fully in the moment, there's still this part of you watching, narrating, analyzing. You're at a party, you're laughing, you're having a good time. But there's also this quiet running commentary in the back of your mind. I'm laughing now. Why am I laughing? Is this genuine or am I performing? How do I look to them? Am I doing this right? You can never fully disappear into an experience because part of you is always documenting it. You're the participant and the audience at the same time. And it's exhausting because you can never just be. You're always being and watching yourself be. I thought this would go away, that eventually I'd learn to turn off the observer, to just live without the constant meta-analysis. But it never did, and I don't think it ever will, because this is what it means to think differently. You don't just experience life, you experience your experience of life. And the loneliest part is that you can't explain this without sounding insane. I'm always watching myself live. Sounds like dissociation or some kind of disorder, but it's not. It's just consciousness turned up too high. Awareness that doesn't have an off switch. Most people move through life on autopilot most of the time, and that's not a criticism. It's probably healthier, but you don't get that option. You're awake in a way that doesn't allow for unconsciousness. Every moment is observed, cataloged, analyzed. That's it. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe for more insights like this.